Hey guys, welcome back to our kangaroo walkabout area. My name is zookeeper Naomi and we're here with all of our macropods. These are one of my favourite species because they always love to hang out with all of their friends. And as you can see, they sure are friendly. So these are some of our kangaroos and wallabies that we have in the area. So they're actually called a macropod, so they're part of the same family. The word macropod just means big foot. So if you have a look at all of their feet, they actually have a really big feet. This helps them to hop really long distances. So when they are hopping, they can reach speeds of up to about 60 kilometers per hour. And when they are traveling at top speeds, they can actually jump about 9 meters in length, maybe even more. So it's pretty awesome how quick and how long they can jump. Now, as well as that, when they are hopping, they can actually hop higher than 3 meters. So they can get really high off the ground. And usually when they're hopping, they're either trying to get somewhere quite quickly, as you saw them coming over to eat our food, or they're trying to hop away from a predator or what they might think will be danger. Now, kangaroos and wallabies are all part of the marsupial family, which means that they actually do have a pouch. Now, when they do have their babies, they're only pregnant for about 35 days. Depending on the type of kangaroo and the type of wallaby, it may change a little bit. But when this baby is born, it's actually only about the size of a jelly bean, so it's extremely tiny. Now, when it's born, it will climb its way up into its mum's pouch. At this point, it doesn't actually have any fur or any eyes. All it really has is 2 little paws to make its way to mum's pouch, and then from there, that's where it's going to stay for a few months. Now, in this time, it's going to become more confident, it's going to grow a little bit of fur, it's going to get a little bit bigger, and soon enough it'll be more confident to come in and out of the pouch a little bit. Now, when it is doing this, the mum will be completely looking after it. So at about 5 or 6 months of age, that's when it will start to pop its head out a little bit more, become more confident. It then will start to hang near mum's side and start to grow a little bit too big to fit into mum's pouch anymore. Now at this point, it'll then start to become part of the mob. So kangaroos can live in big groups of up to about 30 to 40 to over 100 kangaroos in one mob, whereas wallabies live a little bit differently. They usually live in smaller family groups and live in different areas as well. Now, once this kangaroo becomes mature, it will then become either part of the group or move on to find another family. Now, the difference between the kangaroos and the wallabies. So firstly, by looking at them, these girls here are what we call eastern grey kangaroos. So they are quite big. They're the ones you can find around the east coast of Australia. Then the smaller guys here, we have some redneck wallabies, like this little one right here. And then behind you over there is actually a swamp wallaby. So firstly, you can look at the difference in their size, but as well as that, they have differences as well. So their eating habits can be a little bit different. So kangaroos, they usually live in big paddocks where they like to graze on lots of grasses, whereas wallabies actually like to live in more sheltered areas where they'll use their hands to grab things from the trees. So it might be grabbing the bark, the sticks, it might be to get closer to the leaves. So they're usually a little bit better with their hands, where the kangaroos don't really need to be using their hands because they'll be grazing on lots of grasses. So at the moment, I'm actually feeding them one of their favorite foods. This is what you call a macropod pellet. So this is basically lots of grasses and lots of different bits of vegetation all mixed up into a pellet. So it's pretty much a whole diet for them. Now, if you have a look at them at the moment, they're actually going to be standing up looking around. There's a few noises happening, so you can see that they can actually move their ears independently of each other. So, but just watching here, these guys will be moving their ears different ways, and this is so they can hear absolutely everything around them. So they're always alert and looking for anything, any danger or anything that might be coming up close to them. The kangaroos are usually more active at dawn and dusk, which means in the morning and in the afternoon. In the middle of the day, our native animals are usually sleeping or resting. It does get quite hot here in Australia, so to deal with the heat, they actually spend most of the hottest part sleeping. Now, When they do this, they're going to be laying underneath a nice big branch or in the shade somewhere. And then as the sun does go down and the heat starts to disappear a little bit, it gets a bit cooler, that's when they will start to adventure out and find some more food to be feeding on. So because these guys do often come out when the sun is rising or setting, if you are driving along the road, just be super careful and watch out for our native wildlife, because they can accidentally be hit by cars. If you accidentally do hit a kangaroo, always make sure to check the pouch, because there could be a little joey inside. And if that is the case, you can call a wildlife rescuer to help rescue that joey. Being a marsupial, our kangaroos are actually closely related to many of our Australian wildlife. So things like our kangaroos, our koalas, our wombats, possums, these are all really closely related, and they all share that pouch that they do raise their babies in. So with our kangaroos, these girls are the eastern grey kangaroos, which you can find along the east coast, whereas you do have other types of kangaroos that do live around Australia. So the ones down in South Australia and Western Australia, their fur is actually a lot different to the girls that we have here. So these kangaroos have quite thin fur, it's not very thick at all, and that's because it does get quite warm around here. Whereas the other kangaroos down south, they actually have very thick fur, and it's even darker in colour to help combat those cold weathers that they come across. The other type of kangaroo that we do get is called a red kangaroo, and they're the ones that get really big. So the 2 meter tall, the ones that look like they're bodybuilders, they have huge big muscles. They're our big boy red kangaroos, so they're our big boomers is what we call them. Whereas the wallabies, they live in different areas, so they're usually found hiding underneath different shrubbery and in different areas of Australia. So with the kangaroos, they have really big hands, and on the end of those hands, if you do look, they actually have quite big claws as well. So those big claws are helped to protect themselves and also to help dig and things in the mulch.